The focus of today's segment is a subject that has sparked a debate and focus on a worldwide scale: financial forums. An important tale has supposedly originated from sources keeping tabs on the Iraqi economy landscape, and the results are clearly cascade impact on the value of the currency research group. Above anything else, these debates is a change regarding ISIS currency, the Iraqi Dinar, and the Iraq War. It has been reported that these details have emerged looking at a different structure for the value of money. A person who has been topic of subtle conjecture for numerous months. Upon the present knowledge based regarding these new facts is that is a substantial change rather than a possible change in policy that is profound. In this article, we will explain in detail how the subject matter and setting concerns these assertions. The focus of this fresh data is earning the label of a major notification about the dinar's operating structure. Each report insinuated that a novel approach to currency valuation as confirmed by authoritative sources, and is commencing with their execution. Its impact right away takes center stage in scrutinizers and watchers who have adopted the same fiscal policies as Iraq. The hypothesis that has been maintained for a long time: monetary strategy in Iraq and its goals for the currency, had reached a consensus on this particular breakthrough. According to the argument, this change could signify a fresh phase in the history of the country's financial plan. Throughout the rest of we're going to break down the aspects of the system that was described, investigating its nature and purportedly labors, as well as the larger economic context where it belongs. Everything hinges on details that are presently making the rounds. The particulars drawing the greatest focus is the presenting what is currently being referred to as a system with two rates. As a result of these stories from the world of finance, this approach would comprise of two separate money markets functioning simultaneously. One is the general population's rate, which is the image typically seen on international marketplaces and utilized for the majority of routine governmental exchanges. After that, as well as the subject of the forthcoming conversations, is based on a private contract pricing. This is apparently, the secondary rate isn't for the general population, but is earmarked for agreements between prominent institutions and certain agreements that have been pre-approved. This idea of a hierarchical framework is the key aspect of the updated data being examined by a large number of everyone who keeps tabs on these markets. To grasp the importance of these findings, it's critical to define what a contract rate actually means. In currency, as defined in these states that this rate is not accessible to market as a whole. Rather, it's an agreed-upon worth of the currency only in cases involving multiple parties that pertain to some substantial transactions. The highlighted examples encompass significant nationwide projects for the construction of worldwide oil, contracts with the government agreements, or substantial compromises between organizations with a formal presence. Each report flowing through the banking system, people in the area stress that this percentage is unique from the one that is visible to the general public, and is purportedly being dropped at a greatly varied worth. That is the specifics that have generated so much excitement in the company of onlookers. What this means for the future of presented below, such a system are often brought up in conversation. The background information regarding this change indicates that the rate of this private contract serves internal purposes within the value of Iraq's financial system is said to be more powerful than what the general rate. Rate. How this is understood among those reviewing the decision is that it have the potential to serve as a bridge mechanism. A number of people are describing it, examiners, as a possible pilot project or implemented in stages that permit the economy of the nation must start running in-house at a different price point. This purported inward shift is commonly regarded in the field of economic history as a stepping stone to more widespread dealing with shifts in policy, which is why information is being treated with the utmost seriousness by everyone living there. Additionally, it is critical to place these findings in an expanded view of Iraq's financial tasks completed within the last several years. The nation's leaders have openly participated in a set of substantial changes to the economy, on truth about which no one disputes. These changes have sought to stabilize and updating all of its financial physical system. Peers have noticed that these latest news on currency exchange rates do not taking place in a void. By adhering to a duration of committed financial restructuring, which encompass initiatives to strengthen the A country's stockpile of foreign currency. According to official reports, there have been verified that these stockpiles have expanded quite a bit, with commonly used numbers at the tune of more than $100 billion USD. Substantial fiscal equilibrium. This is national equilibrium. Fortification sheets are considered as an initial stage in every significant shift in monetary policy. In addition to saving up for emergencies, concerns regarding Iraq have also centered on stabilizing the engine that drives its economy, its exports of oil. More than that, a national digital banking on a large scale, a programmatic effort has begun. This program's objective is to advance economy from relying solely on cash, and to a more contemporary, trackable, and system that operates efficiently. The Bank of Canada as a country, Iraq is known for its rigorously incorporating fresh bans on the practice of money laundering and procedures for your customers. Various steps with the goal of introducing Iraqi financial industry into complete conformity with requirements on a global scale in order to further integrate with the worldwide monetary framework. There is no denying changes serve as the foundation for current reports on the new contract rates are being viewed. The goal of this update is to allegedly including collaborations with leading global clearinghouses. These collaborations aim to guarantee that the new the transaction systems are completely up to code, well integrated with international banking online systems. To put it simply, these changes seen as a way for Iraq to invest its tidy up the house. Considering the future reports on the system of exchange rates are seen identified by experts as deliberate rather than haphazard. According to the story, these changes were critical measures to take in order to Iraq in a legal and competitive way actor on the world stage of finance. All of this demonstrable advancement in digitalization and stabilization are currently included in the evaluation of the rumors that have not been substantiated about the new pricing structure for contracts. Supplementing with an additional unknown depth to this narrative accounts from individuals purportedly associated to the American banking industry states. The reports in question, making the rounds, imply that specific primary banking organizations, such as banks such as Wells Fargo and Chase, have been updating our internal systems. These assertions are extremely detailed, giving the impression that the changes are connected is the process of exchanging one currency for another. Despite the fact that no formal verification from these establishments, these rumors have persisted for a long time, provided fuel for the debate. The significance exercise extreme caution while considering such reports. They have its roots in unofficial insider through many routes and has not been openly the bank's own verification processes. The specifics of these purported financial improvements are really particular. The reports assert software filters employed by international. There have been changes to the exchange departments. According to reports, these changes comprise the inclusion of novel domains, with a focus on the verification of contract rates. Experts in the field in addressing this assertion highlight that this change wouldn't constitute a minor or arbitrary alteration. Updating essential software for banks undertaking. Assumption states that this modification would be put into place exclusively on whether the organization was going to manage a different kind of financial deal verification, which, within this story, are in harmony with the news about a revised contract pricing structure on their way out of Iraq. On top of that, these corresponding unofficial accounts indicate that is coordinating with these U.S. monetary institutions and the Central Bank of Iraq. The purportedly aiming to do is so that everything is in order and runs smoothly. Incorporating this new pricing system is supposedly introduced to the side that is visible to the public. Once more, it needs to be emphasized the veracity of these claims remains unknown. Moving throughout the neighborhood, having said that, they are being linked through those who watch one show to another more credible measures implemented by the Bank of the Iraq War. These two sets of official changes and unofficial findings are as painting the full scene that experts are presently analyzing. Returning the attention to the interior breakthroughs in Iraq, we may examine a phenomenon that at first seemed dismissed. A few months back, the Iraq's central bank covertly implemented a fresh 20 dinar banknote. In that moment, a lot of people thought this was in little change, maybe only a regular currency update in circulation. Nevertheless, considering the updated reports on contract rates, This step is now being reviewed by experts. The argument that is now being presented is that it's possible that this little message was a part of a considerably broader, more calculated plan. A key tenet of this approach is that while lesser amounts to the possibility towards a potential rise in the value of the currency worth as a whole. Let's get into the reasoning this specific hypothesis at the moment when it is being as elucidated by market watchers. The claim is founded on straightforward practicality. The case where a currency rise in worth significantly, the already available substantial amounts would become incredibly unrealistic for regular use. To illustrate, what if the value of the dinar were to undergo a dramatic shift, a 25 all of a sudden? The 0 dinar note would that amount to a substantial buying power, rendering it worthless for purchasing commonplace goods, such as coffee or food items, would, assuming this situation holds, really require more manageable many religious groups to operate. Let me tell you about this central point being argued. For that reason, the 50 dinar accompanying note and ongoing transportation of the 100-150 dinar notes are being deciphered by some as an initial step. This hypothesis suggests that these lesser-known designed to act as an intermediary comparing the previous assessment to a future, more elevated one. If one believes this reading, the wording of their discharge isn't about making a cosmetic adjustment at the present worth, but in terms of getting ready for the financial system in the event that diminutive bills would constitute the newest norm every day for purchases. Once again, we have information that data scientists are attempting to place within the broader context of Iraq's financial plan. Considering that these several parts are linked, a distinct storyline develops. That is the one that's shaping the conversation right now. The accounts in this story are compiled from the updated method for contract rates, the credible changes to the financial and digital sectors, the launch of lesser denomination notes, and the unverified claims about system improvements for global banking. The verdict that some onlookers are utilizing this database of issues is that the procedure for handling money Iraqi transformation is not some far-off conjecture rather than anything that is presently unfolding in a methodical manner, orderly manner. The banking authority according to this point of view, a steady change rather than an abrupt change. This concept is in line with what a great number of financial analysts have advocated as the best course of action in support of such a change. An unexpected shift in the value of a country's currency can cause significant volatility in the market and financial anarchy. In a more managed manner, although reassessment would permit the economy to undergo gradual adjustment, you are exactly as reported in the contract rate are considered to be under the jurisdiction of inside the initial phase. This idea behind a managed reassessment suggests that Iraq bolsters the value of its currency in steps that are easy to handle, guaranteeing that each it is launching a new digital banking everything is prepared for the change. In the time before it's made public, the tension grows even further when additional notices, which are likewise not confirmed, but are making the rounds from people who supposedly Iraq's banking system. These claims in the papers that multiple major global agreements for the trading of oil are ongoing process of utilizing this innovative rate for private contracts. This would constitute a groundbreaking breakthrough. It would indicate that Iraq is not exempt from answering for a portion of its most important business deals on which to rely solely in terms of US dollars. On the contrary, the would instead use its own currency, then the internal valuation is stronger. This is assertion, the greatest number of points towards a major change in approach in Iraq's financial policies. Considering that the move's importance is being heatedly disputed. Given that Iraq is oil contract settlements on its own money, it indicates a tremendous amount of assurance regarding the steadiness of that currency, and in the strength of its brand new monetary and banking structures. Due to many years, the US dollar has used as the benchmark for foreign sales of petroleum. A change is perceived as being distant from that, even in part as the pinnacle emblem of a country independence from outside financial influence. According to this story, Iraq is the one sending abroad in terms of its economy, and funds are prepared to rely solely on their and supported by their own extensive natural material means. On the other hand, the function of the IMF, otherwise known as IME, is known for discreetly endorsing program for the economic revival of Iraq. During the past year, the International Monetary Fund has participated in a number of review sessions and engaging in thorough discussion with the Iraqi executive branch. This is with the aim of participation has been to assist Iraq in its budgetary policy in tandem with global norms, increase openness, and create an economic model that can last. The time and again, the IMF has stressed the need of so that Iraq can show signs of stability, and new reports indicate that is precisely what Hashimiyah has accomplished. Among these accomplishments is a list of conditions under which international organizations, as the International Monetary Fund has been anticipating. Iraqi inflation has reportedly reached decreases while increases in foreign reserves. Additionally, modern electronic monitoring systems are at last offering a top-notch transparency. We consider these systems to be of paramount importance in avoiding theft of funds and wrongdoing that had threatened the national economy for years. The interpretation of the IMF involvement by is not to exert influence over Iraq's policy, but in order to supply the necessary support and confirmation required for the globe should wholeheartedly embrace the dinar as an honest, reliable, and open book world's money. Once more, this whole accumulation of changes has resulted in order for analysts to classify this era as the start of a new age of economic independence to the Iraqi people. The story goes like this. The state is not merely changing a handful display of numerical data, above all else, reshaping its economic fate. This requires a calculated shift toward autonomy, free from utter dependency on the U.S. currency for its foreign commerce without sacrificing the power of its collaborations with international banks institutions. This study suggests that the objective is to establish a medium of exchange that is not only more convincing and powerful, the source of credibility, so the argument goes, which supports the dinar. If and when the process of revaluation is made public and formal. Reportedly, the value of the currency will be resting on a firm base. This foundation is made up of the enormous shipping petroleum, its vast reserves of gold, and money on hand, and most importantly, a trustworthy, up-to-date, and open digital network for transactions. This brand new system is well-established connections to both Western and Asian payment systems, preparing it all throughout the world. That is to say, the approach being outlined is not limited to increase the worth, but to enhancing the whole financial system that lends credence to that worth. So, in what ways does this set of findings and examines what it means for individuals to adhere to the dinar? The main point that the majority experienced analysts is the necessity of attentive monitoring. At the present time, being portrayed here is one of evaluation, confirmation, and in-house carrying out. Iraqi banks as well as supposedly overseas are rumored to be conducting practice runs of their apparatus. Those people are making sure that all trading platforms, throughout all anti-money laundering policies, and all systems that validate contracts are completely safe and sound before any likely to be implemented with an eye toward the general public. An intricate change like this one must be under pressure. Because of this we have to ask, at the moment that is being considered by all. The cause for the widespread interest in these reports' momentum at the end of 2025 is subject to a defined range of circumstances. According to the findings, Iraq has reached the financial goals that worldwide organizations have been anticipating. They have substantial reserves. The crude market has remained quite steady. They owe it to the GDP ratio is now better. The majority of paramountly, the digital money they use, the infrastructure is said to be operational and operational. According to everyone, these requirements for every major changes to the money system. A government-run financial institution from this point of view would be unable to ahead of time until these essential containers underwent examination. If you are a follower of regarding these changes, you might be aware that the analyst talks about the calm period. This time frame is defined by the fact that impressive things are transpiring in the background on the inside, but the average person still haven't noticed any formal shift in the rate. Accounts detailing the agreed-upon rate implementation are becoming seen as the warning that the calm period is coming to a close, as well as a phase of active implementation, where begun. A large number of people who have chosen to tail The road has been incredibly lengthy, accompanied by persistent delays and speculation. Right now, it is perceived as distinct due to the fact that it encompasses reporting regarding particular official processes being in practice as opposed to only in theory rumors. At last, it's important to mention that area viewpoint. According to the findings in Iraq's reimagined economic plan, bringing the dinar into closer alignment with the other important currencies worth in the Arabian Peninsula, including Saudi Arabia and a unit of currency in Kuwait. And this in no way suggests straight one-to-one spoof, although instead of an immediate tactical objective, Iraq would benefit from a stronger dinar, quite a bit more spending power in world commerce, which subsequently increases trust among investors. This may provoke an influx of new FDI investment entering the nation, resulting in a cycle in which robust economic growth powers additional monetary worth. Put simply, a more valuable dinar, as stated in this examination, is an essential part of restoring the country's economic standing after the